Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Walk-Off here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us. We'll lead off with softball this week. Greg Jones joins us once again. Again, thank you for joining us. Opening week of NSIC play looks pretty successful, 6 wins. Your thoughts on the opening week?
Well, it was a big week for us. I was really happy. I didn't know, obviously we never know how we're going to play or what we're necessarily going to see, but we felt like we needed to open well at home, get all 6 of them at home now before an 8-game road trip. We wanted to, start out and accumulate as many wins as we could, and we were able to get all 6 of them.
Very good. Let's start by talking about the games against Upper Iowa. And at the very start, first inning, you get runners on base, you're not able to get them across the plate, but then the second inning, something changes, and you explode for 7 runs in that second inning. So I kind of want to ask about the change there. Was there anything that you said? Was there anything that the players did to get that success in the second inning they couldn't get in the first inning?
I don't think so. I just think, we must lead the world in left on base right now. We're giving ourselves a lot of opportunities, and that's what it comes down to, win or lose. If you can get some kids on base and give yourself, the more opportunities you get, the more times you go to the well, the more times you're going to have a chance to score runs. And in the second inning, we finally took the top off and got it done. And what we have done really well offensively is take advantage of what people give us, whether it be the walk or the air. If we get the free things, now we can start to put our hits together and score runs. Where we've struggled to score runs is if we've got to put all of the hits together ourselves, and that's when we leave some people on base. But we took advantage of what they gave us, and were able to put up a crooked number that inning.
All right. In game 2, it seemed like you manufactured runs very well. Are you a small ball person as opposed to going with power? I know you have both on your team.
I think it's a personnel thing. I like small ball. I like to manufacture. Our goal every game is to get to 4. If we get to 4, we feel like we should win, and that's been here 17 years, and that's been our goal every game. And I think this year we're 20-0 or 21-0, and we've scored 4 runs. And so sometimes small ball, get a run per inning, will get you there faster. But depending on who's coming up and what the situation is and what the inning is, we'll play for a bigger inning if we can. This year we have some kids that can hit the ball at the ballpark, to be certain, but I don't consider us a power team. Okay. But we also aren't a speed team either, so it's kind of a combination right now of more situational play.
All right. Where did you come up with that formula, the 4-run thing? I know you've been at this a long time. Is it just experience that you come up with?
Yeah, it really started my second year. I just noticed it, that, wow, when we get to 4, people don't beat us. And we've always predicated our team on pitching and defense. Pitching and defense, pitching and defense. If we pitch and we defend, if we don't walk people and we don't give up errors and we don't give up extra base hits, we'll be very successful. And that's what we've been able to do over time.
Okay, let's move on to the Southwest Minnesota State games, closer games, 2-1 and 4-1 in those games. How do you feel your team did in those games?
Very well. They pitch well. Their pitching numbers were good coming in. We last year beat Southwest at Southwest 2-0 in 8 innings, and Hannah threw a no-hitter, 8-inning no-hitter. So it took 8 innings of no-hit ball to beat them. She's a senior pitcher. She spins the ball well. She does some things that we don't necessarily do a lot with. But again, we got on the scoreboard early. When we got 2, I said, okay, it's going to take a couple more, and we were able to hang on.
Game 2, you scored 2 runs in that game before you even got a hit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting to see that. One of the stats I was looking at on your stat sheet is that your team has been hit by a pitch 24 times this season, while you've only hit 8 yourselves as pitcher. Can you talk up to that point a little bit?
Well, it's not something we teach to try to get hit, but we also want our kids to wear it if they can. We'll take anything free, anyway on base will help us, and our kids aren't afraid to get hit by pitches. Mariah's been hit by pitches a lot. We should have had one more. They took one away from us, and that inning would have led to the 3rd run without a hit. Allison O'Haron got hit by a pitch, and they said she tried to get hit by the pitch and wouldn't give her the base. But as much as I disagreed, it didn't work out our way.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your pitching, because, again, it's just seems to be very, very good no matter who you throw out there. Talk about your pitching staff right now.
I can't say enough about the job Cindy's done with our staff. It's been phenomenal. First of all, just individually they're throwing well, but they're throwing with confidence. A kid like Jada, who hasn't thrown in 3 weeks, hasn't given up a run. And we said we got to get her back out there. And we've had her in relief, but we've never had to use her because the top 2 kids have been throwing so well. And I finally said we got to get her a start, because otherwise she's not going to help us in relief. She hasn't had enough innings. And she goes out there and mows them down, throws a one-hitter, and throws another shutout. 5-0 with a 0.00 ERA ain't all bad.
No, that's pretty good.
So I'm real happy with it. But we're making a lot of plays defensively for them. We're taking hits away from teams, which makes their job a lot easier too.
All right, yeah, you mentioned Jada, one hit in the fourth inning, and that's all that she gave up, striking out 2 in 5 innings. She's one of those players that you said you don't throw young players. What do you see in her style that led you to throw her out there right away?
She really throws our style. She throws hard. She works the edges. We've always been kind of a curve screw type of team, and that's how she throws. Jordan's more of a rise ball kid, which is great. We just haven't had a lot of them over the years. McKenna's really making some hay with her drop ball right now. She's got a great curveball too, but her drop ball is really what's been a nice addition to her repertoire now. But Jada kind of throws the way we've always tried to teach our kids to throw in the Ashley and Hannah, mold, and she just does it with a lot of pace. And she's a big kid, strong kid, and throws hard.
All right, you mentioned that coming up you have the next 8 games on the road, at Wayne, at Crookston, at Bemidji. What's your hope? What do you think you're going to do this week?
Well, hopefully we can keep the bats going a little bit. When we get to Bemidji, they've got a really good thrower. That one will be a tough test. Yost beat us last year, 4-2. We got a couple off of her. But again, we just know that every game out that we've got to try to hold them down and then let our offense come along. And if we have to win 1-0, that's what we'll do. But hopefully we can kind of keep the bats going now off of yesterday and see if we can make it easier that way.
All right, last minute, and I know that you don't have a whole lot of control over the schedule, but it looks like looking at the schedule, you only face teams once during the regular season, then maybe you see them again in the tournament. Yeah. Does that make it easier or harder when you don't have any idea of what the team is going to be before you see them?
I think it makes it easier for me this time of year. Where it makes it harder is in the postseason because you don't have a lot of history on them. You just see them once and then you kind of wipe the slate clean because it just goes. And so you don't have a lot of stuff to look back on, and you've kind of forgotten about it because you're so intent on whoever was next. But this time of year, it kind of makes it easier because you don't have to get ready for a 4-game set, or you don't have to, you've just got to get so focused, and so narrow focused on this team. And I've spent 24 hours memorizing everything we've ever done against Wayne, and now I can forget about it the day after.
Amazing mind dump then to have to do that every week.
Exactly.
Okay, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walk Off, and when we come back, Mariah Schultz will join us right after this.
We chose HBC because they're a local company. They have a big audience in Winona, which is the geographic group that we're looking for. Mel is very easy to work with. She's genuinely concerned about how our money is being spent, and she does everything she can to make sure we get the most for our money. She takes care of us. So whenever there's a problem, which is rarely, I know that I can go to her and she's going to take care of it.
To see how HBC advertising can help your company, call Melanie at 507-474-5802.
We're very honest with each other. It's just about both of us wanting to do the best we can and have a great time together doing it.
So excited.
David has this extraordinary way of, no matter what the challenge is, no matter how difficult people can be, of keeping his cool and always keeping a sense of humor.
Prepare for more list-its.
Watch Love It or List It, Monday night at 9, only on HGTV.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk Up. Mariah Schultz joins us now. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Lewiston native, Onalaska Luther graduate, and then you head off to University of Minnesota Duluth to start your softball career. One question that I always like to ask when we get transfers come in here, what do you hear about Winona State when you know that they're going to be the opponent?
What do I hear about Winona State? Well,
Yes.
I know they're a tough opponent, that's for sure. Being from around here, obviously, it was, when I was up at Duluth, it was like, oh, I want to beat Winona State, even though we never got the opportunity to play them even. But yeah, they're just a really tough opponent and kind of one of those targets that everybody wants to beat.
And now that you are a Warrior, does that kind of match what the mindset that you had coming in against Winona State, even though you didn't play them?
That other teams want to come after us?
Yeah.
Or, I think so. I think honestly, if you're the opposing team, you want to beat whoever you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
But.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about what you did this week, and you're having a great season. 8 for 17 this week, 6 RBI, 8 runs, 2 walks. How do you think your season has been going so far?
I would say compared to last year, it's going a lot better. I feel like I have more confidence in myself, and I feel like my teammates and coaches have a lot more confidence in me as well.
Okay, hitting .422 this season, very good.
Thank you.
Talk about how you're seeing the ball right now at the plate.
I would say I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable in the box, and I just focus on me and the ball rather than everything going on around me. Just knowing that I can do it, and I've had success this past season, or so far this season already, and just keep moving along.
Okay, and then one question I kind of wanted to ask earlier, but I guess I kind of skipped over it, was how did you come here to Winona State after being at Minnesota Duluth? What was the decision to come here?
Well, I had talked to Coach Jones initially when I was, I think it was a sophomore in high school, and at the time I knew I wanted to go up and get away from home for a few years. And then when I decided to transfer, ultimately I wanted to be closer to home. And I looked at a few other colleges, but I think one of the biggest things was I wanted to be closer to home, be near my family more. They had what I wanted to go into school-wise. It's a great program, great school.
Okay. What did you see in Mariah that you wanted to bring here on to Winona State?
Well, it was an opportunity to get someone back, you know, and we always know in recruiting that it's up to the kids, it's up to their families on where they want to go, and we kind of, you know, I'm not a high-pressure salesman, and, you know, we want to present Winona State and let them make their decisions, and then, but you always want to keep those doors open. So if kids come back, you know, especially local kids, but really anybody that you get involved in the process with. And so we knew a lot about Mariah. We knew she was going to have a lot of success. But even the second time around, we wanted to be real careful about allowing it to be her decision and where she wanted to fit to really, you know, finish out her career. So their loss was our gain to be true.
All right, and you were also a very decorated basketball player when you were at Onalaska. So what was the decision to play softball rather than basketball in college?
Softball was just my first love. Basketball, I grew up playing basketball. My dad was a coach for 20 plus years, and I was just around the game so much, and I hate running. I hate I hate conditioning, all that kind of, not hate conditioning, but I'm just not a big runner. There's just a really long season, so ultimately in high school I didn't care for basketball at all, and I think just knowing that softball was my true love, that's what I chose to go with.
Well, it was a pretty good career for not really caring about basketball. Leading rebounder in school history, top 5 in points, assists, free throws, and steals, so that's still pretty good. Now, you were a pitcher at Minnesota Duluth,
yep.
And then you switched coming over here to Winona State. Mm-hmm. How was that transition for you?
Well, you know, in high school I was a pitcher. In college, I was recruited to be a pitcher in college, and then I ended up breaking my foot in my first collegiate game, actually, and ended up having to have surgery and whatnot. And when I came here, Coach had a bunch of pitchers, and I did pitch for a while here, but then I was having issues with my arm and just wasn't that great on my body. So I think ultimately having enough depth in our pitching staff, we just decided to give it up for now.
Okay, and what were your thoughts on the transition?
Very similar. I mean, for us it was, let's bring her in, and one of the things we had to do, I think, for Mariah was she was so broad in what she could do. She could be an infielder, she could be an outfielder, she could be a pitcher, she could be a catcher. She was so athletic. We almost did her a disservice her first year here when she had to sit out a year as a transfer because we never really narrowed her down. We kept trying to use her everywhere. And over the last couple of years, what we really said as a coaching staff is we've got to give her something to be really good at and get her on the field as often as possible. That's when we kind of pulled pitching because we knew where our depth was there. When to use her speed and her power in the lineup and in the outfield, and just kind of said, okay, let's go be an outfielder and be really good at it. And that's what we've been able to do.
All right, well, we're out of time for this segment, but thank you for joining us, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walk Off. When we come back, we'll talk Warrior baseball. That's right after this.
Cost Cutters of Winona presents Making the Grade, hosted by Interim Superintendent Kelly Halverson. Catch all the spotlight happenings in the Winona School District 861, featuring interviews with students and faculty members. Tune in to Making the Grade on HBC TV 25 at 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Check your listings for additional weekend times. Presented by Cost Cutters of Winona, located at the Professional Building in the Winona Mall Annex.
Path to the Draft. everything you need to know before your team's on the clock.
He can help this offense go to an entire new level.
We break down which college stars will shine on Sundays.
He gives them a guy that can put the offense on his back.
With in-depth analysis you can't get anywhere else.
I think he's got a chance to vault himself up into that first round.
All leading up to draft day. Path to the Draft, Monday through Friday at 6, live on NFL Network.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off here on HPC TV 25. Time now to talk baseball. Head coach Kyle Polk joins us. And before we get into this week's games, I want to go off what we were kind of talking about last week, Mitchell Stalsberg, the fact that he's going to go off to the Cape Cod League this summer and play. And we were right at the end of the show, so I didn't really get a chance to talk about that. But that's a high honor. That league has been around since like the 1800s, and it gets funding from Major League Baseball. Can you talk about being able to have some of your players play in that league?
Well, it'll be a great opportunity or great exposure for our program. He will be potentially the second one. Tony Mueller was set to go there too, but then Tony got drafted by the Braves, and so he didn't go. But not a lot of guys. I can only think of one other guy that was from our league that played out there, and I think that was Jordan Smith, who was from St. Cloud, who was about Tony's age in that time frame. So yeah, it's great because that's the #1 summer collegiate league. It's the one that all the top prospects go to. That's the majority of the big-time major league scouts are there and they're watching, and so that could be a great thing for Mitch.
Is that something that you're going to be able to follow, or is?
Oh yeah, we'll be able to follow. But I'm also going to look to maybe going out there because Carl Stange, our admissions director, who actually just retired, he actually has a place out there on the Cape that he can go to, and so I might go out and try to hang out there a couple days with him, and then catch some, maybe not just Mitch, but catch some other games as well.
Yeah, very good. Are you able to do any kind of scouting in those kind of leagues for? Because I know the players are a little bit older. I think.
They're all college players, and basically, I'm not going to throw anybody under a bus, but there's teams that do that, but that's ethically not right, and that's when I would never touch that.
Sure.
I'll just go watch and stuff like that. Now,
if
a player would approach me and say, and then at that point I got to say, well, I can't talk to you. I need to get permission from your university. So that would be no recruiting. That would just be for fun and watching baseball.
Very good. All right. Well, let's get into the games that you had this past week. All road games, Minnesota State, and then you're up in Minot. Let's talk about the Minnesota State games first. Unfortunately for those, a couple losses in that one, a big loss, but then the second game, you were able to kind of come back and almost came away with a win in that second game.
That was much better the second game. I was pleased with that. We came back. Mankato's good. They're top team in our league, and they've been that for years, and they're good. And the first game we didn't pitch, and we got behind, and Lucas Krim is a senior pitcher for us, and he knows he can be better, and we expect him to be better tomorrow when we play Wayne State. But I challenge my guys in between games and say, who's going to step up, who's going to be my players? I'm looking for guys to be, the old saying, big-time players step up in big-time situations. So, and then we did a good job. We got behind again, I think we gave up 8 runs early. Again, starting pitching didn't help, but then Tanner Hazley came in and threw zeros up the rest of the game, and we just chipped away, got back, got 10-9. I think the final score was 11-9. We gave up one in the bottom of what? No, we were the home teams at Mankato because of switch sites, but we gave up one. But so it ended up 11-9. But it was a good showing. We started to show some flashes of what we're trying to do. Our young guys are starting to buy into what we're trying to teach and what the difference is between high school and college. Anticipating some things, knowing that every pitcher was a top guy in high school, and every hitter was a top guy in high school. So there's no down moments. You got to be ready every batter, every inning of every game.
So, I mean, is that, you're kind of talking about it now, but is that kind of a turning point or a thing that you can show your guys, hey, we can compete with these top teams in the league, and this is what we need to do day in and day out? Yeah,
and that's something I've been using. Like, I also the top 10, an unofficial top 10 rating came out from D2 baseball, and Lynn University is ranked 8th in the country, and we got beat by them in extra innings. So we can, when we were in Florida, I keep using those moments to try to say, hey, this is what we've worked on. This is why we work on this stuff to allow us to be able to compete against these top level teams. But you can't have downtime. You have to be focused and play every pitch of every game.
Okay. Then you spent the weekend in Minot, so we'll talk about the Saturday games first. Close games. Unfortunately, they had a walk-off win in the first game and then a 5-3 win in the second game. How would you assess those games?
Well, we pitched good enough to win. Again, this is back to our old problem where we left a small village on bases. We had scoring opportunities all the time. Mitch Stalsberg pitched a great game. He struck out 13. I think he gave up 10 hits, but every time he gave a couple, he got out of jams, and he got out of jams with strikeouts, and he went after guys and he pitched good enough to hit, or good enough to get us to win. Unfortunately, when we pulled him, the game was 1-1, and then we tied and we went extra innings. We tied the game, or went ahead 2-1, and then our relief guy Derek Mossberg came in, and first pitch of the inning, the guy put a good swing on one to tie it again with a home run. But and then they battled and ended up getting beaten extra innings in that one. The second game, we pitched good enough. We just got to get better hitting with guys in scoring position. That's the biggest thing. Our statistics in that area are not very good.
And then I guess they had a couple home runs in that second game too to kind of put them over the top.
Yeah.
Let's talk about then the Sunday games. Daniel Carlin-Carmen had a very good game. 5-hit shutout, probably the best pitching performance you've had this season.
Yeah, for him, he's had some good ones early, but this was one that you could see because we scored some runs from him. He's been the hard luck pitcher the last 2 years. Right. It seems like he's very good control, and it seems like we haven't been able to score runs for him for whatever reason. But you could see as the game we got 2-run lead, and you could see he got a little tougher. And then we got 4, and when we got up to 9 runs, you could tell he was tough then. And he was at a pitch count that we're starting looking at maybe getting him out of the game, but he said, no, I want this, I'm going to finish this, and he did that and did a great job.
All right, and then second game, again, just the offense wasn't there.
Yeah, offense. We ran a good left-handed pitcher, I think, a guy that, when you look at stats, he doesn't walk guys, he throws a lot of strikes, and he mixed it up a lot. I think we only had 3 hits, and I don't know if we ever got a guy to third base, but again, we got to get better with our offense. We get better with our offense, we'll be okay. I think defensively, we only had 3 errors on the weekend in 4 games, and we pitched all 4 games. We pitched good enough to give us a chance to win.
Now I know that you're going to be traveling a bit this week again. So I mean, how much practice time do you have to kind of work on these things now that the conference season has started?
Well, right now, because of the weather and stuff, we haven't had hardly any practice time. Last Wednesday we were supposed to play against Mankato. Well, we didn't get the practice then. Then we went to Thursday, played there, drove there and back. Friday we come back, can't practice because we got to leave at 11. Get back Monday morning 4 a.m. from Minot. Can't practice Monday because of NCAA rules. Today we're going to try to do some split things with BP only, and the pitchers will just throw. So we're not getting any practice time. So play tomorrow in Wayne, Nebraska, get home. So we'll maybe have Thursday and Friday, get some workouts in, and then try to correct some things at that time. But yeah, with the weather and the spring schedule and going somewhere, very little practice time now.
So because you have that, I mean, what are some of the things that you tell your team to work on, maybe in their downtime if they have any, to kind of get to replicate some of that?
What we'll do, what we talk now, basically the physical stuff is there. Mm-hmm. So now we're just talking about mental stuff, and I'm trying to preach to our guys all the time. You got to be mentally prepared, know what the situation is, and that. And I tell them, watch Major League Baseball started this week. They're on TV. Watch the games, and watch the games that have the former pro players as announcers, because they'll talk about the game and they'll talk to situations, and you can learn from that, not by not playing, but watching and listening and see. Like I said, like John Smoltz, I think, is a great guy to listen to. He's got so much knowledge and he knows the game. And one of the things that I've been preaching to these guys about playing and having fun is have fun all the time. And the other night on the way back, I was listening to the Cubs and Cardinals on the bus on the way back from Minot. And Ron Coomer, the ex-twin, he was talking to him, and they said, what do you remember about your first opening day? And he goes, well, the biggest thing was my first time in a Major League uniform. He says it was exciting as my first day in Little League. It was so much fun, and I can remember back to playing Little League, and now I'm in the big leagues, and that's what I worked for. And you can ask Joe, I talk all the time about what was it like when you first played your first Little League game. You got that first uniform. We want to have that same type of energy and keep playing and have fun and play the game.
All right, well, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walk Off, and when we come back, Joe Kubera will join us right after this.
I can't sleep at night. There are things we can show you.
They're not gonna stop.
You're going to get him killed.
One day.
You have to be willing to do anything to protect yourself.
The Americans, all new Tuesdays at 10 on FX or catch up on demand.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk Off here on HBC TV 25. Joe Kubera joins us, and thanks for joining us today. Warriors superfan Joe Kubera. We'll get back to that in just a minute, but let's talk a little bit about baseball first, and kind of your thoughts on how the season has gone so far.
Well, we went to Florida, and Coach always talks about playing a tough schedule, and just tries to test us for the upcoming conference season. And obviously, it didn't go as well as we wanted it to, but I mean, starting off in conference, we did well against Crookston, and then the last couple of series we kind of fell off. But I mean, there's still 26 games left, and I'm still pretty optimistic about the season.
All right, you've had a couple of home runs this season. I know Coach talked about Lynn University, and that was one game that you got a home run in. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was well, the guys on the team give me a hard time because I'm not really a power hitter, but it was just the beginning of the game, the leadoff at bat, and just trying to see a lot of pitches, and I squared one up, and thank God the wind was blowing that day, and it flew out of there, so it was nice.
Do you replay that in your head a lot this year?
Here and there. I try not to, because then I'll try to get, try to pull it too much, and I'll get pop-up heavy, and just want to focus on base hits.
All right. Now, in the past, you've pitched a little bit for the Warriors. Haven't got an opportunity yet this year by the stats. Is that kind of due to the injuries that you've had before, or is it just you're kind of focused on play in the field?
Yeah, in the beginning of the year, just kind of trying to keep my arm healthy. But we brought in a lot of guys this year that can throw pretty well. But eventually, I want to start getting back on the mound and throw again. So just trying to get my reps in and hopefully get an opportunity later in the spring.
All right, and do you see that in the future?
Yeah, we talked to him on this weekend about possibly bridging the gap between our starter and our closer guy, Derek Mossberg. So, yeah, it's in the plans. We're going to use him. Hopefully, they'll get the weather a little warmer because he's had the surgeries on his elbow and stuff. Yeah. And the warmer weather will be better, more conducive to being able to throw better. So, but it's there. We'll get him out there.
All right. Well, you heard Coach talk in the first segment about the fact that you don't have a lot of practice time because of the things, and I kind of wanted to know, well, what did the players do? From your perspective, what are some of the things that you do to try to keep yourself fresh and try to get out of the slumps that you guys have been in?
Well, it's kind of like you were talking about. We have downtime and try to get in the cage and get our extra swings in. But it's a lot like what Coach was talking about. It's more mental than anything. We've gone through the practice a lot in the fall, all winter. So right now it's just not getting too down. Baseball, it's a long season, and if you can keep your confidence, that's going to take you a long way.
All right. Now, we called you Warrior Athletics superfan. We saw you a little bit during basketball season, especially around Christmas time. I don't know if you want to talk about the outfit that you had on during one of the games or not, but it was interesting. We saw you.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, like you said, it was Christmas time, and I wanted to be a little festive, and got a lot of good buddies on the basketball team, so I was just trying to show my support in the only way I know how.
All right. Is there kind of a lot of a cross between the sports? Because I know that you had tweeted out that you were kind of excited about the Warrior volleyball team playing. You see Warrior football playing. How much, maybe even athletically, do you kind of cross-train a little bit with the other athletes?
Oh, absolutely. I remember when I first came in, it was just kind of like everyone hung out with their own team. And then as the years went on, we started hanging out with, all the teams, like you said, basketball, football, volleyball, soccer. So I think it's just a great environment in Winona where everyone supports everyone in any sport you go to. So when you play, you're going to have teams come and watch you, and then when they play, you can go watch them as well. So it's a really cool atmosphere at school.
Is that something that you kind of encourage too, is to try to get involved in the different sports?
Yeah, we like to tell them if we're off, like in the spring, like last week when softball played had their opener, we told our guys, hey, we weren't practicing that day. If you got a chance, get down and watch softball, and we had a lot of our guys there. We try to promote. I go to all the games, almost everything, try to follow everything as well, and so I try to get our guys to that because the athletes do a pretty good job supporting each other, and we like that. But that's an environment we want to have.
All right. Now, last year when you were here, we talked a little bit about Warriors Got Talent. You said that maybe you'd go again this year, but you were the MC for the program this year. So how did that go?
That went well, I thought. It was good to have the microphone in my hand the whole time, so that was good. I didn't really make a fool of myself like I did with my Katy Perry performance, but again, that's a fun event, and it was an honor to be a part of it in that way.
So looking ahead to next year's Warriors Got Talent, are you going to have talent again, or are you going to be the MC again?
I'm actually graduating this year.
Are you? Oh, okay.
I'm graduating this year, yeah, but I mean...
We'll bring them back.
Yeah, if you need a surprise appearance, I mean, I can maybe come out of the woodworks,
okay.
We'll see.
I saw junior, so I didn't, I thought maybe you had one more year left.
Oh, yeah,
no, he's
graduating.
A red shirt and a medical red shirt, so...
Gotcha.
I'm old.
Yeah, I'm old. Yeah, so.
Well, we'll end it on that. Thank you for joining us here today. Thanks for having a good spirit about everything that we talk about, and good luck the rest of the season.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you for joining us here on Warriors Walk Off. We'll see you next time here on TV 25.